This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CacheFly.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter the promo code KNOWHOW to receive a free Tracker Bravo with any purchase. And by Braintree. Mobile app development can be complex, but integrating your payments no longer has to be. With Braintree, your business can accept nearly every type of payment from any device with just one integration. Learn more today at braintreepayments.com/knowhow. On today's show,
You'll know how to do basic I/O with your Arduino.
welcome to Know-How. It's the Twitch show where we build, bend, break, and upgrade. I'm Father Robert Balliser.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And I am so happy to have my bro back. It's Brian the Cranky Hippo Burnett.
It feels like it's been a lot longer than just a couple of weeks.
It has been. We've had some weird stuff, and I'm not going to lie to our audience. We've been doing a lot of pre-recording, and so there's been some time jumping. I'm not exactly sure where we are in
That's
the
just
sequence.
how this show works. You
Really,
never know when this show's happening. It's
It's
a
just
time
weird.
pair of socks.
Temporal paradox.
That's it,
Which is
temporal
even
paradox.
worse than a paradox. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
No, but we've given them different explanations for why you were gone. You were looking for the Holy Grail. You were seeking out the answers to life, the universe, and everything. I believe at one point you were with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But whatever the case, it's
to
good have you
answer
back.
those, I chose wisely.
Yes,
42.
of course.
And the gemstones are new.
Okay, boom. That also deserves a boom. But it's so good to have you back because we're doing something that we had promised a while back. We've been doing a lot of Arduino projects, both of us.
Okay, I was gonna say we've made a lot of promises. I'm not sure which project this one's gonna be, but yeah, a lot of people have been interested in just basic not really programming, but microcontroller, which would be an Arduino.
Right.
But a lot of people ask me too. They're like, okay, if I wanted to just like make something work, you know, like. Just wanted to have that instant satisfaction. I was like, okay, well, maybe don't get a Raspberry Pi because it's like a tiny little computer.
More complicated.
That's, you know, plug it in. But if you want to just like make a little simple project, maybe Blinky
Arduino's
Lights,
really
which
good
is
for
one
that.
of our
Yeah,
favorite things. Arduinos are good for that.
Very good. And, you know, the thing is, I get questions all the time, going back from our Coding 101 days, what language should I learn? And the answer is always the one that it's easiest for you to learn, the one that pulls you in and keeps you. Because it doesn't matter how good a language is, if it doesn't hold your attention, you won't learn it.
Yeah.
What I have found is that an Arduino, which uses Sketch for its IDE, its Integrated Developer Environment, which is essentially C. You're writing in C. Once you learn structure inside of that, you can translate that knowledge to basically any language. And, as you mentioned, the fact that you can have that instant gratification of having something work and validate that you know what you're doing, or at least that you were able to do the right thing, it really does kind of pull you in and it makes you want to keep learning.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've taken a C++ class before, and I struggled with keeping up with it because I never really had a goal. I just had assignments. Now, if there was a project of something that I was interested in, like making a light blink with an Arduino, like I was able to get through that and learn something. And like you said, when you learn one programming language, it kind of transfers over into other ones. It's just getting the fundamentals, the ideas of the programming language in your head.
Right, because if you keep it abstract, if I tell you, I'm going to teach you how to use constants, how to define variables, how to make independent functions that can be called from a main function while returning a value, you'll just go, But if I tell you, I'm going to show you how to make a 3-button device that tells the Arduino to light up 3 other lights. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I
that
get
makes
that.
sense.
That
I
makes
could do
sense.
that.
And I know when it's working, so therefore I know when I'm done.
Perfect.
Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking people back through the basics of an Arduino. We've used a lot in like our steampunk goggles, the Aquavase. You used it in the LED
my
light
picture frame.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we want to start from the beginning. We're going to show you the code that you need to do some very, very basic Arduino projects. Hopefully you'll pick one up and just start coding on your own, because that really is the best way to learn.
Absolutely.
Now, the first thing I want you to do, because most of you are going to have some sort of an Arduino, either a large one or,
or Nano or
a
something.
Nano, whatever it might be. This will work on all Arduinos.
It might not even be an officially branded Arduino.
Probably
if
not,
you bought
actually.
them in bulk off eBay.
I wouldn't know who would do that.
It's fine, it's fine.
You do need a few components, and rather than trying to gather up a bunch of components off different sources, which would be good if you were going to make a lot of these,
right.
I would suggest you get something like this. Alex, we've got a link for this. This is sort of a component kit. It includes a lot of LEDs, resistors, a couple of switches. This is a nice self-contained package for you to get enough pieces to start doing projects.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like a little Lego kit for
Precisely.
an Arduino, yeah.
Now this one was what, $758, but I actually bought this for like $4. Every once in a while they go on sale, so just keep checking back, and hopefully when you check, you'll be able to get a kit that works for you.
Cool.
Okay. The only other thing you're going to need is on Arduino, and maybe if you feel like it, a breadboard. I really do recommend these because it makes it a lot easier for you to see where your connections are going. You don't necessarily need this. You can actually jumper straight off the pins.
Yeah.
But it makes it neater.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if this is your first time ever doing anything like this, don't try just sticking the pins everywhere. Like, get a breadboard. They're what, like a couple bucks or something?
No, look at that. I mean,
not even that?
really.
Yeah.
And like I got 3 of these for $5.
Yeah,
and I bought a bunch of them. In fact, I'll make you a little something. It's a
really?
project.
What? You can give me a little bread?
A little
board?
something.
Sweet.
So for this first example, all we're going to need are some jumpers, because we need to be able to jumper off of an Arduino.
Right.
And a single LED.
Can you buy? You can probably get the jumpers on the Amazon in
Oh my
bulk
God!
too, right?
I bought 120 of these in wide packs.
So
for
just
like
search for jumpers.
$2.
Okay.
They're nothing. They're super cheap.
Cool.
So we're going to use a red LED. Now, when we do LEDs, what you have to remember is there's a positive and a negative side. It does not light up if you put voltage the wrong way. What's the closest shot? I think the overhead probably. So yeah, let's do this. So if you look at that, look really, really close. One length of the LED, one leg is going to be longer than the other. You should be able to see that, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, just remember, because we've got an anode and a cathode, but the longer one is positive. That's your voltage.
I did not know that.
The shorter one is ground. If you put voltage the other way, it just won't light up.
Okay, so you won't kill it.
It won't
just
kill
won't
it.
work.
It just won't work. Right.
Okay.
And remember, because LEDs are light-emitting diodes, and by definition, a diode is a component that only allows voltage to flow one direction.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually also a good way to make sure that voltage doesn't flow back.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Watch things explode.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little lead, and I'm just going to make myself a tiny little circuit. So I know that my longer one is going to be my voltage, and the shorter one's going to be my ground. So I'm going to put the longer lead into the white, and I'm going to put the shorter lead into the black, which will allow me to easily jumper this in to my my Arduino down here. Actually, when I say easily, I mean poke my fingers to the
Zip, zip.
There we go, like so. So now I can just connect these jumpers, these pins, into these sockets here once I get the code written. But let's look at the code. This is one of the simplest programs that we will ever write.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's take a look. If you go to my my screen here, Alex, this is the Sketch IDE. This is what it looks like when you've got nothing in there. So what we want to do is we want first to set up what's called the pin mode. Now the pins are what I can plug into. I need to tell the Arduino where I'm going to connect my LED. Specifically, I need to tell the Arduino where I'm going to connect the positive lead of my LED, because the ground is just going to go into one of the ground pins.
Right.
Like for example, if you go to the side view here, Alex, or actually the overhead's probably a little bit better. Whatever you can get closer on. I've got 2 ground pins on this side plus 2 5-volt pins, and then up here I have 1 more ground pin. These are my analog pins and these are my digital pins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this LED to the digital pin, the positive side, and the ground into the ground pin.
Right. Okay.
This is how I code it. First, with the setup, I need to tell it where it's connected, and I need to tell it what kind of connection it's going to be. So I'm going to say pin mode, And notice how it changes color. And when it changes color, it means that Arduino, the sketch environment, has recognized that I'm going to be doing a function here. This is one that's built into the IDE, so I don't have to create
I was going to say, since we are starting from a very basic level, we have covered Arduino projects in the past, but there's no library that you had to install. It's
no
just...
libraries, no nothing. This is pure basic Arduino programming, pure sketch. So it's raw, basically.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we've got pin mode, which calls the function. I have to give it 2 parameters. I have to tell it what pin, and then what kind of I/O am I doing. So I'm going to say pin 7, output. Like that, just like that. And then I'm going to close it off with the semicolon. So what this will do is it will say, hey, I need you to address pin 7 as an output. I could also say input if I wanted to trigger something, but in this particular case, I just want output.
Just the output.
That's the only thing I need in the setup. The next thing I need to do is I need to make my loop, and this is what my loop is going to look like. Actually, if I get down here, boom. And I've got this all commented in the code that they can download, so don't worry about it if you're not catching it immediately. Okay. I'm going to say digital write. And this is another function that's built into Arduino. And essentially it says, I'm about to give something to you that I want you to push out to a pin.
Okay.
So I'm going to say digital write 7, again, because it's going to that pin, high.
High.
There we go. And what this will do is it will write to pin 7 and say, go to your highest value.
And highest value as in like voltage or just on?
Just on.
Okay.
Well, remember, an analog pin, you could vary the voltage that goes through it because that's what analog is. And digital pin is just, there's 2 values. There's on, there's off. There's high, there's low. High, low, high, low. So this is saying, go high.
Okay.
All right, and then I need to do a wait. So I'm going to say delay 1,000. What this does is it's going to wait 1,000 milliseconds. So it's going to wait 1 second.
And then
do the next thing, which I'm going to say digital write again. Pin 7, low. There you go, low.
I get it.
So what I've done, and I've said, okay, turn on the LED. So write high to digital pin 7, wait 1 second, and then go low on digital pin 7, which should turn off the LED.
And then do you need to write delay 1,000 again?
There we go, because if I don't, what's going to happen is it's going to turn on, wait, turn off, turn on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because remember, this thing's going to keep looping. It's going to loop through that segment.
Right.
Very good catch. So I have to put another delay, delta, yeah. Actually, delta is delay, sorry. Delay of delta. A delay of 1,000. This is it. That's my program. So if I connect my LED to pin 7, when I upload this, it should just turn on, wait a second, turn off, wait a second, turn on, wait a second, turn off, wait a second. Let's see if it actually works.
Yeah, right.
So again, ground pin. Like so.
Or it'll go up in a puff of smoke.
Yeah, or we'll get blue smoke, which is cool. I have spares. And then we're going to connect this to digital pin 7. Oh, and my LED fell out. So let's put that back in. This is really a high quality equipment, Brian.
Yeah, this is...
Stuff just keeps falling out. I don't know if it's actually going to stay. Stay, please.
Get in there.
Get in.
Okay. And you'll have to... Do you want me to hold it so it doesn't
you may want to hold that. You may have to like put a little pressure in case it doesn't light up. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to my port. I'm going to make sure that I'm sending it to serial port 4. And then I'm going to make sure I'm sending to, it's not an Arduino Nano, I'm sending to an Arduino Uno. And upload. It's going to, oops.
You need to save your code?
Yeah, save my code and upload. So it's compiling, and then as soon as it's done compiling, it will upload, and done uploading, there we go.
What?
So
it worked right
on,
off the bat.
Off, on, off. There we go. Super simple circuit, but this works. And the thing about this is it may seem simple. We may have just done this in a couple of seconds here, but this is the basis for so much of what the Arduino does.
Exactly.
Turning things on and turning things off. We can add things to this, like how long it turns things on, or what triggers the on and off, but this is a super simple circuit. In fact, let's mess with this a little bit. Right now it's blinking like that. What if we change the code and say, okay, let's make it only wait for 500 milliseconds. And we're going to make it synchronous, so it waits both ends, and upload. Compiling, uploading, and then this should start blinking faster. See, there you go.
Yeah, and like you said, this is the foundation. So then you start stringing multiple LEDs together. You start doing different colors. You start doing different patterns. Yeah.
We've been playing a lot with Ws2812 LEDs, which are individually addressable. They actually have a data pin, so I can send data down.
Right.
But it's essentially the same process. It's just me sending input down a pin. In this particular case, super simple input. It's just either it's high or it's low. But when I'm sending to those Ws2812s, all that really is a lot of highs and a lot of lows, because that's all it can do. Go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. It's just doing a lot more to make the Ws2812s do what I want them to do.
That's pretty cool. And that took us, what, maybe 5 minutes to get set up? And that was us explaining everything?
Us explaining. So let's do a little bit better. So what we want to do is we want to make it so that our code is a bit more elegant, because this is, I mean, it was built to be basic.
It's functional. And what's that, like 15 lines? Or
it's very, very few lines of code. But what we want to do now is we want to make it neater, because we've learned a few things over the last couple of months of playing with Arduinos. The first thing is we always want to make our code flexible.
Yes, yes. And if you're just starting to learn coding, it's better to get these ingrained early on than develop bad habits as you go further.
Precisely. So I've got a couple of things here. If you look at my code, there's two things that probably I'm typing too often. The first thing is the pin. This is pin 7, this is pin 7, this is pin 7, because it refers to that pin. Now imagine if this code, this program, was a lot longer, and suddenly I decide I don't want to use pin 7 anymore, I want to use pin 3. I'd have to go through all of my code and change every 7 to 3.
And you might miss one, and it wouldn't work, and then you'd have to go through it again.
Precisely. Or, you know, just looking at it from the perspective of logistics and support, I want to be able to easily change what that is.
Right, right.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and change it up here. We're going to add what are called constants, 2 constants. And we do that by doing # define. And notice how it changes color, because it knows I'm declaring a constant. A constant cannot be changed. It's initiated
it's constant.
It's constant.
Yeah. Okay.
At the start of the program, I create it, I define it, and it will always be that as long as that program is running.
Right. Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to do is dpin. Define dpin, which is digital pin. That's my digital pin.
That makes sense.
As 7. Okay. I don't have to put a semicolon for define statements.
Okay.
Next one is I'm going to define wait, and I'm going to say that for 500. And what that will do is that will change the delay.
Okay.
I can use that as my delay number and change the delay up top rather than changing it twice down below.
Through your code. Got it.
Now here's how simple it is. I could put void my setup. Instead of 7, I'm going to put dpin. And then down below in my loop, instead of 7 here, I put dpin. Instead of 7 here, I put dpin. And then instead of delay 500, I'm going to put delay wait.
And
one more.
Wait.
Okay. And there we go. So now if I upload this, it's going to first verify my code, and it's going to start uploading and done uploading. So this is running the new code right now. But if I want to make a change, let's say I want this to blink really, really fast, rather than having to go down into the code and change all those ones individually. You
can just do it right there at the top.
I do it right here. I'm going to say wait 100 milliseconds. Let's see what happens. Compiling, uploading, and done. So now we go. Now we get flash blink.
And then say, oh, I want to do, I'm tired of 7.
Yeah.
Let's do 6.
Okay, that's easy. Go ahead and move it to 6. And I just changed my dpin from 7 to 6. One change, and compiling, uploading, done. And it works again.
Very cool.
Now, people are probably looking at this and going, well, that's just stupid. That's 3 lines. But again, imagine the program is a lot bigger than this.
Right.
These are habits that you want to develop. If I have something that I'm going to be using throughout the program, and it will never change, in fact, I don't want it to change, then you probably should make it a constant at the top of the program, where if I come back to this a year from now, I'm going to go, oh, dpin and wait, so I can change something here, and it affects the entire program.
Yeah, no, that's cool, and it's definitely the best practice to learn that way off the bat, especially if this is like your first programming experiment.
Right. One of the hardest things to get rid of is bad habits. So if we can stop you from getting bad habits, like both of us have really accumulated over the years,
exactly,
and make you program the way you're supposed to program, it's much better for you.
Yes.
All right, let's do one more. We're gonna do the Arduino version of Hello World. So we're gonna take this super simple program, and we're gonna snazz it up. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna remove the weight constant. I just did that for giggles. I don't actually want it. Now in the setup, I'm gonna keep it with dpin and output, but then I'm gonna change things inside of the loop. My loop is just gonna be this. Blink. Let's make it 2,500. You're probably wondering, what is he doing? That's not a program. And you're right,
man.
Because that function, blink, this function does not actually exist yet, because I'm going to create it.
Oh.
This is what we ultimately want to do inside of any program, of any language. We don't want everything inside the main loop. We want to break it out into functions to make it easier to understand and also make it easier to modify. Because once I have a standalone function, I can take that function, bring it to other programs, put it in the library, and give it to the world.
Right, yeah. It's definitely easier to diagnose if something goes horribly wrong.
Precisely. So here's what the blink function is going to look like. I'm just going to put it above loop because that's my own personal preference. Void. And whenever I put void in front of a function, it means this function will return nothing. It's just going to run, but there's no value that's coming back.
Okay.
If I was going to return a value, I would put like int if it was going to be an integer I'm returning, or char if it's a character I'm returning.
Right.
For this particular case, I've told Sketch, run the function, don't give me anything back.
That's, okay.
So
makes sense.
void blink, notice how it's changed, and now it knows that I'm creating a function. And I'm going to say, I want this to be a function that has two variables that I'm going to pass, because if you look at blink, I passed two. I put 2,500, right?
Right. And I'm guessing that's the wait times.
Maybe, I don't know. So I'm going to put int on, and int off. So what I've just done is I've told Sketch that I want you to create a function that has two parameters that are being passed in. One is called on and one is called off. So when I call the function down below inside the loop and I pass it those two numbers, 2,000 and 500, 2,000 goes into on and 500 goes into off.
Right, okay.
Okay, so now let's write the function. Digital write, dpin, because I defined that up top, high, and then delay on, digital write, dpin, low, delay, off. So what this will do is it will call blink, give it 2,500, and then blink will do a digital write to the D pin, to pin 7 or whatever we have.
We have 6 right now.
To pin 6, and then delay. It will wait the first number. It will wait 2,000 milliseconds. Then it will do it again, write low, so it turns the LED off, and then delay for 500 milliseconds.
Okay,
so let's do this. So let's go ahead and upload. It's going to compile, it's going to upload, and this should be an asynchronous blink. So it's on, off, on, off, on. So it's on 4 times longer than it's off.
Okay,
which is 500 and 2,000.
Right, and so you could just change the 2,000 or 500, and that would change it whatever, like in the function.
Precisely, and so in my loop, I could stack up a bunch of this. I could put blink 100, 100, blink, bling, blink, no bling, 2,000, 2,000. So when I upload this, I'm going to have a bunch of different wait times for my blinks, because it's going to do the first one, the second one, then the third one, the first one, the second one, the third one.
Yeah.
And there we go. So it's waiting 2 seconds, off, on, and so I've got. There we go. See? Weirdness in my blinking.
Weirdness in my blinking.
But
they have medicine for that.
This is really, so I mean, again, super simple, but we're headed more in the direction where we want to be, and that is to have the functions divided to make programming much more easy.
Yeah, no, that's pretty simple and elegant.
And elegant. We like elegant. We are going to get back to this in just a bit, because now that we've got output, you know what we need next?
Input?
Input. We need a way to get digital data into the Arduino so that it could actually act on that data.
Very cool.
But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a moment to thank the sponsor of this episode of Know How. Now, we're all used to losing our possessions. Newsweek reports that the average American wastes 55 minutes a day looking for the things that they own but can't find. Tracker makes losing things a thing of the past, and I'll tell you how to get one for free. Now, the Tracker Bravo locates misplaced keys, wallets, computers, backpacks, bicycles, even pets in seconds. It's a coin-sized device that's constructed with anodized aluminum for the thinnest, most durable tracking device available. You can easily attach it to your items via a key loop or adhesive, and it's enabled by Bluetooth LE, which means the battery's going to last you for up to a year. Now, you can add your own laser-engraved message to each Tracker Bravo, like return or pet info, and you can now personalize your tracker with a custom-printed image, just like we have here on Know How. Pair Tracker to your iOS or Android device and find its precise location with the tap of a button. It's really that easy. Your phone can track up to 10 devices at once, and you can customize two-way separation alerts so that you're notified before you leave your item behind. Now, if you lose your phone, get this, you can press the button on the tracker, and your phone will ring even if it's on silent. It's a two-way tracking system. With over 1.5 million devices, Tracker has the largest crowd GPS network in the world. That means that your lost item shows up even if it's miles away. Now, here's how it works. If you lose your item, the Tracker app records its last known location on a map. When another Tracker user comes within 100 feet of your item, you'll receive a GPS update of where your item is located. It's one of these ways to have connectivity, even if you're nowhere near the item that you lost. We want you to try the Tracker. Go to thetracker.com and never lose your possessions again. Plus, just for our audience, if you enter the promo code KNOWHOW, you'll get a free Tracker Bravo with your order. That's the Tracker, TheTracker.com, promo code KNOWHOW to get your free Tracker Bravo today. And we thank Tracker for their support of Know How. Okay, Brian, so we've done output. Super simple.
Right.
Now let's do input. I've grabbed a little something extra. This is a future project for Know How. This is actually a modular device. This actually comes off, so I can put different modules and stack them on top and with the Arduino. It's actually a little fun thing.
No, that's cool. If there's one thing that you tend to do is think ahead and make things modular.
There's actually a lot of Easter eggs in some of the episodes we pre-recorded. They're going to see devices that don't actually come onto Know How for like 6 months.
But you can tell like something's going to go there.
No, that's just an empty space, Brian.
Right. Just a...
All right, so we grabbed a little extra something from our box. The first thing that we needed to do is we took one of these buttons. Standard button, they look just like this. And actually, if you go to the overhead here, nothing really magical, but they do have interchangeable plastic tops. I like this because it's very easy to design this when you're 3D printing.
Yes, and the red button will be the eject button.
The red button is the button of death, although I don't know why I'm having, wait, get in, there we go.
Eject the escape pod.
Okay, I'm all thumbs. There we go. So this is you can hear it.
Yeah, there's a nice click to it.
And the nice thing about this is they fit perfectly into our breadboard. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of span the sides so I have different contacts on both sides of the buttons. Yeah. Right. So when I press that, it shorts the contacts, which connects this side to this side.
Cool.
Right. But I've already got that set up on this, and you'll notice there are a couple of extra components. First, I've busted out the jumper wires. I've taken power. So this is 5-volt power and ground. And I've put it into the row of pins on the breadboard on this side.
Right.
And what that will do is it allows me to break out the 5 volt. So instead of running every device back to power, I just run it to the side.
Right. Yeah,
so I've got this side is common or ground, and the top side is hot.
Okay.
That's voltage. Cool. Now, if you look at the actual button, there's a couple of extra things here that maybe you noticed. The first is that little resistor.
Yeah.
You do need this on an Arduino project. The first time I ever tried to do this was, before I read anything, and I just figured, it's digital. So I just connect a button to it, and if I short it, it's high. It should work. And if it's not, it's low, right?
Right.
Doesn't really work. The problem with doing it that way is if you have one of the states as an open circuit. An open circuit can be any voltage. It floats because the Arduino is not actually receiving any input. Right. What this does is the resistor allows me, I'm using, by the way, this is a 10K resistor. The resistor allows me to have a very, very low current circuit that does continue, so it knows, okay, that's the floor. So rather than floating up and down, do this. Imagine walking through a room and you have a blindfold on, and you're just feeling around looking for walls.
Right.
Okay, that's what it's like if there's no circuit. Now, take one hand and put it against a wall and just walk with the hand against the wall. That's what you're doing to the Arduino. You're at least giving it a reference point so it knows what's low and what's high.
Okay, because you want it to trigger an action, and
Right.
it needs that point.
Precisely, precisely. Okay, so I've got this. I'm going from ground, which is hooked up to my Arduino here, over to here. The ground goes through a resistor up into the button, and then positive goes from here up to the other side of the button. So I'm keeping a very low current circuit when I do that. But when I press this, it shorts across to this jumper, which is connected to digital pin 2.
And then the Arduino will pick up the difference in the voltage, and then that'll...
Well, it should as soon as I give it its programming, which is what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and do this.
Because, yeah, we have to tell it to listen.
Right. And the first thing we're going to do is we need to define. We're setting up constants, so we're going to define button pin. Oh, I should have 2 words. 1. And I'm going to set it as 2. So the constant is button pin 1, so my first button is hooked up to pin 2.
Okay.
And that's never going to change. So button pin 1 will always equal 2 unless I change it at the top of my screen, top of my code. Okay. The second part is I need to create a variable. And this variable, it needs to be a variable because it's going to change. Int on off equals 0. Oop. Stop it. There we go. So that's not a constant. That's an actual variable that can be changed. It's global, which we're not supposed to do, but I'm going to do because I'm cheating.
But that's also why you put a semicolon there.
It's a semicolon there because it's not a constant. Now let's go into the setup. The first thing I want to do is I need a way to find out what the Arduino is detecting. So I'm going to tell it to talk back to me over the serial port.
Right.
So serial.begin. This opens up the serial port, and I'm going to set it for 9600. So it's communicate at 9600 bits per second.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
That's normal.
That's pretty, yeah, it's normal. Let's go into the, actually no, sorry, I need to define one more thing. My pin mode, just like before, when I did pin mode output, but this time I'm doing pin mode, button pin, 1, input. So what it did was it's setting the mode for the pin defined by the constant button pin 1, which I set as the value of 2, as output, or as input. So now it's going to be listening on that pin rather than pushing it out.
Right.
All right. Okay. So that's my setup. Let's go to my loop. My loop is really simple. I'm going to call the button by doing this, on off. That's the variable I declared up above.
Right.
Is equal to digital read. That's a function built into Arduino that reads whatever pin you tell it to read. So I'm going to say read
button pin 1.
There we go. Button pin 1. Very good, Brian.
I'm learning.
You're learning. So and then now that it has the input, so it's read the button, and it knows if either I pressed it or I didn't press it.
Right.
I need to tell it to do something if I pressed it or didn't press it.
Right.
And I'm going to use an if statement. So I'm going to say if on off is equal to high, then serial print high. Pring. There we go. And then serial print -t or /t, which tabs it.
Okay.
There we go. And then else, so if it's not high, serial print low. And then serial print /t. I know I did that. Hold on.
No. Can you scroll down a little on there, Al? Thank you.
There we go. All right.
Okay, so you've written out serial print high, serial print /t, and then you made a separate function for low. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right, well, no, it's just a check. So it's going to check
check
the variable. If the variable is high, it's going to print high. If the variable is low, it's going to print low.
Right, and this is just for our input.
This is just for our input. And then I'm going to put serial.print /n. And what this will do is it will create a new line. It's like a carriage return.
Okay.
All right.
We did this when we had the the sensor that would tell us how close things were, right?
Right, precisely. Same thing. Okay, so what I need is, I forgot to put in my end characters. Let's go ahead and upload this. Oops, hold on, I missed something. This is what I love about this. It actually tells you, oh, I've got a mistake. It just won't tell you, oh, where's the mistake? Oh, wait, that's not a function. If.
If, right. So this is an if or else.
Oh, gosh, I did it again, hold on.
Oh,
wait.
Do you have to close out?
Yeah, there we go. This is the fun part of doing live code. You go through all your, oh, I did it again. My gosh, how many times did I forget that?
Well, at least you make similar mistakes so you can figure it out.
Okay, wait on. Let me run through my head really quickly again. So
Okay.
I've got on, off, high, button pin 1, that's all right.
Yeah.
I got pin mode up top. I closed off everything
Do you need
properly
a
up here.
Bracket to close off the if? Or no, I guess
well,
not.
if is, oh, wait. Yeah, hold on. There we go. It should have done that automatically for me, but it didn't. Okay, actually, Alex, if you could show them this real quick. Okay, so what I need is I need to be able to tell my, my loop to check that pin really quickly, and if it's going to find a high, it's going to go ahead and print out something to the serial port, and if it's not high, it prints something else. Okay, here we go. So go ahead, upload. Watch this. Uploading, done. Okay, now you have to come back to my screen because I'm going to open up a serial monitor. There we go. So it's printing out low because it's just looping through that program. I'm not pressing anything, and once I press this button,
Hi.
there we go.
Sweet. So we've set our parameter for our switch.
Right.
That's cool.
So it's now set up so that if I push that button, it changes something in the Arduino.
Right.
Again, doesn't sound like super complicated, but this is huge because this gives me a way to change the state of my Arduino.
Right.
Okay. Now let's, just like we did the last time, let's make this one a tiny bit more complicated because we want people to learn proper programming. And the way we're going to do that is, well, a function like this is not so useful if it's only being used once. So what we're going to do is we're running out of time, so I'm just going to copy over my notes directly. We are going to use, instead of 1 button, how about 3 buttons?
You're getting crazy now.
You're getting crazy now. So define button pin 1 is still pin 2.
Right.
Define button pin 2 is now 3. 3 is now 4.
Just to make it confusing for
Just to
yourself.
make it confusing. I could have used 1, 2, and 3, but what would be the fun in that?
It
Brian?
wouldn't have been fun. And of course, you could always change those numbers later.
Precisely.
Anyway.
Everything else is just like we wrote. So I still have this variable that stores whether or not it's on or off. I still have, in my setup, looks exactly the same, except I've added 2 more pin modes for button 2 and button 3. And then in the loop, I'm doing the same thing. So I'm going to call the first button, and then I'm going to run that function.
Right.
Then I call the second button, and then I run that function. And then I call the third button, and then I run that. So that's just copy and paste.
Right.
But I do have to set this up. So let's go ahead and do this. If you go to the overhead, we're going to put 1 right here, like so. I probably shouldn't have torn this apart right before the episode. And we're going to
No, it makes it more exciting that way.
way more exciting, right? I mean, they're identical circuits.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 resistors that I'm using to pull down the voltage. Come on, it's right there. That's my pin, and that's negative, kind
I
of.
want to do the next one.
Here, you do that one, Brian.
What?
Yeah, right on that pin to the negative, to the ground.
Okay, wait. So.
Sorry.
Why
Yeah,
do you
see-
hurt me?
Do you see the pin there? What
Well,
are you doing?
yours, okay, that one's not lined up like this one is.
No.
Aren't we just copying what this one is?
Kind of. Let's see, like
Yeah.
this, like that.
Yeah, to that one.
That's the positive.
Right,
Like
and
that.
then to ground.
Boom.
Okay.
And then for this one, copy that. So positive to that pin. Positive
Right.
to that pin.
That makes sense.
There you go.
I had that.
He's like, I had this.
You just didn't trust
You
me.
joker.
Is it supposed to smell like chicken?
Yeah, that's
The
how you know
burning
it's working.
sensation is
That's how
normal?
you know it's working.
Okay. It's just like when you're holding a soldering iron.
Precisely, yeah. You're holding the right side.
All right.
Okay, and then over here, what we need is,
data.
These pins. Yeah, these are the data pins. So I've got one there, and I've got one here. And remember, on a breadboard, the contacts line up. So anything on that line is connected to anything else on that line, and same thing on this side. So this one is going to go to, if you remember, if you go back to our programming, where should this plug in? So this is button 2.
Button 2 is supposed to go to 3.
To 3, correct.
Because I remember, because how confusing it was.
And button 3 goes?
To 4.
To 4.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so that should complete our circuit. And if we upload this, it's going to take a little bit longer, tiny little bit longer program.
Oh, it's just so much code.
There we go, upload it. And so we're going to go ahead and open up our serial monitor. Okay, now I'm getting 3 values.
Oh, 3 columns.
And go ahead and start pushing buttons, Brian.
All right, I'll push the middle button. High. Push these 2 buttons. High. Oh, that's cool.
Okay,
boop, boop,
there you go.
No,
so we're making, this is a basic circuit that allows us to detect 3 different inputs from those digital pins.
That's awesome. Well, now we got to hook it up to something.
Yeah,
though, right?
it's not, if you have to open up the serial monitor every time,
to see what's happening.
It's not super useful.
It's not as exciting, but now we've got them working, so we can tell the program to light something up. Right,
exactly. But we ain't done with this yet, Brian, because you know how in the first set we always made it super sexy on the last example?
Yeah, sexy. That's the word I would use.
Hey. This code is sexy, man.
Although I like how you said know-how. So whenever we use the show name in the show,
it makes it better.
It makes it way better.
Roll credits. Okay. What we have though is we have an opportunity to make an actually useful function. Because remember what we had to do in the loop. We had to do the same code. This whole if call the button. If on equals high or if on equals low,
right.
Then I make it do something, right? What if I could replace all of that with a single function that just gets called 3 times?
I would like that. That would simplify things.
All right, so let's do that. So we're going to just go ahead and remove all this code.
The downside, though, is that it never looks as impressive,
Yeah,
when the untrained
sprawl.
observer is looking at what you've done.
Your code is so short.
Look, yeah. It's not the size of the code that matters.
And just like before, if you look at our loop now, that's the main program loop. So I've gone from, 30 lines down to like 10 lines here. And that's with commenting.
Yeah, okay.
So instead of doing all of that stuff inside the loop, I call button read 3 times, and then I pass it the first button, the second button, the third button. And here's what the button read loop looks like. It does the exact same thing. It looks at that pin that I passed to it. It gets the value. If it's high, then it prints high. If it's low, then it prints low.
Yeah, that's a much better way of doing it.
And I'm actually not even going to upload that because it does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But now we're going to get to the fun part, Brian. And the fun part is taking our digital input and turning it into something that's output.
Right. Having it, turn the TD desk into an ejector seat or something like that, right?
We absolutely could do that. I've got a spare. Actually, they just took the airbag out of my old Corolla and they let me keep it. Hey, Alex, click, click, click. Eject. We're going to get back to ejecting Alex in just a bit, but before we do that, let's go ahead and take a pause because you know what, folks? We've got to pay the bills, and we have to thank the sponsor of Know How. If you're a developer, if you create apps, if you create services, then you know that one of the most complicated things that you have to do is to update your payments API every time a new payment method comes out. Maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's Apple Pay, maybe it's some newfangled thing, but you need to make sure that you stay secure and that you offer the latest payments so that your customers, so your clients, so your fans can, support you financially. Well, folks, if you did it the old way, it would mean having to recompile your code. It would mean having to do all the testing on your own. It would mean having to worry about accidentally exposing the financial private information of the people who you need the most. But you don't have to do that if you use Braintree. Braintree is the smart, full-stack payment solution that allows you to accept every type of payment with one integration. Now, by next year, maybe there might be another way to pay, the next Bitcoin, the next Apple Pay, maybe both. Their full-stack payment platform is easily adaptable to whatever the future holds. That means that you can adapt easily too. It accepts everything from pounds to PayPal to that next big innovation from any device with just one integration. And when that new payment method comes along, all you have to do is update a few lines of code. This means no late nights. This means no complicated recoding. This means no stress about staying ahead of the curve, both in payments and in security, because Braintree Payments is here to help. They're going to give you simple, secure payments, code that you can integrate quickly, a code that supports Android, iOS, and JavaScript, an SDK that comes in 7 languages, .NET, Node.js, Java, Perl, PHP, Python, and Ruby, and elegant code with clear documentation. If you are a developer, if you do financial transactions, don't work hard, work smart with Braintree. Braintree gives you an easy way to accept multiple payment types with one integration. Integrating it into your app is as easy as inserting a few lines of code. You can learn more today at braintreepayments.com/knowhow. That's braintreepayments.com/knowhow. And we thank Braintree for their support of Know-How. All right, Brian, time of truth. We got to make this useful, or at least somewhat less useless.
Right. We have to make like something light up or turn off or something like that.
Now, you've got a couple of LEDs here. So I've supplied you with some raw materials.
Ooh, red, green, and yellow.
Yeah, so, stop sign, maybe.
Oh,
you could put them in any order you want.
I was going to say Pokemon. I was like, all right, Team Red, Team Yellow.
Naturally.
All right, I guess a light would be, like a traffic light would work.
Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to create a new program that will leverage the output programming that we just did with the input programming that we did at the start of the episode.
Right, so we want when the Arduino receives an input, it has an output to something else. Yeah.
Precisely. So let's go ahead and try it with 1. So we're going to use this button. So this is button 1, and we want to do 1 LED.
Okay.
Now here's how you're going to build the circuit. I need you to take an LED and you're going to straddle. You're going to do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to hook up the ground wire so that it goes to the short end of the LED.
I thought I was going to do this.
Well, I mean, I'm just giving you the first one.
Wow.
And then you're going to take the signal wire, so this is the voltage, and it's going to go into pin 8 over here, like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And you know what?
What?
You don't get a cheat. Boom. What?
Disappeared. And so we don't need to use a resistor because we don't need to set like an input.
Right. The LED, all it needs is power. So you do remember which side is long, though, right? Because remember, the positive is the longer side. Just pull back out and take a look. You didn't break it.
Right. Because the diode, it
only works one way. So
I forgot.
The longer side is the positive side.
The longer side is positive side. Okay.
Yeah, so just remember which side is the positive side.
I'm always going to do positive side on the right.
Right, and you want to set side by side and not straight up because otherwise those 2 pins would be shorted together.
So like that.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, and then take one of these smaller leads, and you're going to draw up the ground to the negative side of the diode.
Oh, okay. Yep. I'll do negative.
And then you're going to take one of the longer leads, one of these
Did I take the long one?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
right.
positive.
So maybe
Brian.
that's why you wanted to do this.
Oh, you're drawing up positive.
Whoops.
You want to drop the ground.
You're right. Ground.
There you go.
Ground total. See, I just wanted to point out what not to do for people.
And then take the longer one, and you're going to draw from the longer lead over to pin 8 on the Arduino.
So on the ground, like here?
Yeah.
And then to 8.
Pin 8 over there.
Got it. This is precision
This
work.
should complete our circuit. But let's go ahead and look at the code. So I've gone ahead and changed this already.
Okay.
You'll notice that we defined 2. We're back to 1 button. So we're only defining 1 button. That's button pin 1, and that's 2, where we had it set up before.
Right.
But now we've also defined LED pin 1. And LED pin 1 is going to be the first LED, and we're setting that for port 8, which is where you just plug that thing up.
Yep.
Now we are combining code from the 1st and the 6th program. So yes, I start my serial port. Yes, I set the pin mode for LED as output, and yes, I set the pin mode for the button as input. So pin 8 is set to light up the LED. Pin 2 is set to listen to the button.
Got it.
All right, now let's look at my loop. My loop is back to the long convoluted one. I do have on or off. I notice how I've taken that out of global. Now that's inside of the program itself. It's a digital read, pin button 1. So it's reading the button, and then it's going to do that standard if and else statement. But you'll notice that in addition to writing to the serial port, it's also going to do a digital write. If it detects that the button is high, so it's been pressed, turn on the LED.
Pin 1.
Otherwise, keep the LED off.
Right.
All right, so let's go and upload this. And before you look at that, let's look at my serial console to make sure that this is actually working. So serial monitor, there we go. And low, 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 low. Go ahead and press the first button. Let's see if it goes high.
Boop.
There it goes high. Okay, and how about this?
Hey, it lit up.
There we go.
Nice.
So now
That's so satisfying.
it is satisfying. And remember, I mean, that button is not connected to that LED. That button is connected to the Arduino. The LED is connected to the Arduino, and the Arduino is choosing, or through your programming, is choosing when to send power to the LED.
That is so cool.
Okay. You could also, I mean, now think about this. With a multi-button setup, you could use a series of if-else statements to create a code. It's like, okay, you have to tap the first button twice, then the second button, then the first button again, and then the third button, and then I'll light up.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's just a bunch of if-else statements that set that variable of does it write high or does it write low.
It could light an LED or unlock a door.
There you go.
I like that. Okay, I want to hook up the other ones now too,
It's always, hey, I want to do the other ones. Okay, so exact same thing. So set it up, except the next one you're going to hook up to pin 9, and the next one you're going to hook up to pin 10.
Okay, and like I had tried to remember earlier, the power side of the diode is on the right.
Okay, as long as you remember, because you're making the circuit.
Sure, yeah, that sounds like me. Let's see, okay, and I want to put it there, and then into the ground.
Into the ground.
And then from the power side of the LED to digital pin 9. 9. Which
9.
in German means no. I learned that while in Europe.
These are the things I have learned.
That was a fun trip. We should do an IFA know-how.
You know, I'm going to be in Rome for a month and a half. You should just come visit.
Should come visit?
Let's do know-how over there.
Okay. I can check Rome off the list.
Today on know-how, we're going down to the catacombs.
Yeah, it's pretty dark down here, Padre.
Well, yes, it is, Brian. Okay, so you think you got the circuit right?
Actually, you know what? Let me check the green one
Yeah,
again.
see,
The green
this is-
one.
Oh,
yeah,
it came out in your hand, so
It's okay.
Right,
It's good.
put it back
It's good.
again.
We're good.
Okay, so, and you know, we can always, it's not like we're setting huge amounts of voltage. It's not going to smoke it.
And it's not the most elegant looking wire
It's
system,
not.
is it?
But we're getting there, okay? Because this is going to become a super awesome project in the future.
Yes,
You just wait.
it is. Okay.
Let's look at the code. So this is the ultimate piece of code. What I've done is, you may have noticed, there's now 6 defines, because I have to define 3 buttons and 3 LEDs.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I've got button pin 1 on port 2, button pin 2 is on port 3, button pin 3 is on port 4, and then LED pins are 8, 9, and 10. And the only reason why I did it that way is because on this Arduino, there's a natural separation between pin 7 and pin 8.
Right,
This-
that little
that's
break.
just, yeah, there's a little break right here. So it's kind of a, you know, it's an easy way to find out where you are.
Definitely, because those numbers are tiny. It's easy to get them confused.
They're really, really small. All right, so everything else looks just like the program we've already made. I've got a variable that stores the value. Is it on or is it off?
Right.
Down for setup, I'm going to open up the serial port again because I want to be able to get my debugging information. Then I'm setting the pin mode for LED 1, LED 2, and LED 3. So those are all set for output. So 8, 9, and 10 are now pushing out.
Right.
I've also set pin mode for button pin 1, 2, and 3. That's connected to pins 2, 3, and 4, and those are set to listen.
And those are our buttons.
And those are our buttons.
Got it.
So here we have void button read. I've created a custom function just like we did before when we're cleaning up. So rather than having all this code inside of the loop 3 times, I'm doing it once and then calling it 3 times.
Right.
What it will do is it will read the button that it's assigned to it, either 1, 2, or 3. Then it will run it through a series of if-else statements. And if it's on, turn on the LED assigned to that particular function.
Right.
If not, then leave it off.
Okay.
And then my loop itself, this is what we want. Super small, 3 calls. And every time I call, I pass 2 parameters.
Right.
I pass what button I want it to be to listen to and what LED I want it to light up if it's on.
Right.
So let's go ahead and upload this. And just like last time, I'm going to first of all look at my serial console. There we go. And don't show it. We're gonna not show them the lights yet. So I can go high, high, high. There you go. This is actually a really good way to see if you've crossed anything, because like if you press a button and 2 go high, you've probably got a line of code that you copied and pasted and forgot to change the button of assignment.
Okay.
But now, Brian, if you would, you wired this up. See if you light up the LEDs.
All right. So the red one still works. That was working before.
Ah!
Yeah.
And how about green? It's all about the grow.
Go.
Congratulations,
And then
Brian.
all three. This is fun.
It's stupid, but so much fun.
Boop, 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 boop.
And this is why we have suggested using the Arduino to learn code, because when you get to the end of the program, it's not just you see something on screen. It's like, oh,
Right.
this is happening in the real world.
Yeah,
And remember, I could connect that output to anything. It could be connected to a relay that controls the TV, that controls the lights in my house. That's super simple. We've actually already shown you the equipment that you need to do that. In fact, I've got one of them right here. This digital relay allows me to hook up to 8 AC appliances.
Ooh.
So I could have each of those buttons trip one of these relay cells, which will turn on like the TV, the refrigerator, the washer, whatever it might be. This is actually how home automation works.
No, this is really cool. I want to do a project where I have under cabinet lighting with LEDs.
There you go.
And just have like a little remote on the wall or something where I hit the button and it turns on the lights, or even dials.
And the nice thing about doing it that way is most of the time you have to wire, like let's say you use 2 switches. You wire from one switch to the other so that it doesn't matter which one you turn, as long as they're opposed, right?
Right, right.
Like if you turn both on, it goes off. You turn both off, it goes off. You
Right.
have to have one on and one off.
Yeah.
You could do it this way and have as many buttons as you want, but none of them actually touch the AC power. All they do is send a signal to the Arduino saying, whatever it is, make it the other thing.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Very cool.
Folks, this is just the start of our brand new Arduino 101 series. We are going to take you through a series of journeys, and hopefully we'll do exactly what we did here, which is start with something super basic, turning on a light, and then build upon that. So we went from one light to multiple lights, one button, multiple buttons, one button, one light, multiple buttons, multiple lights. The next time, we're talking all about stepper motors and servos.
Awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool.
This is part of, well, it's a little gift to the people who wanted to do Arduino projects but were a little daunted because they thought we were starting a little bit too advanced.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know where to start. And I think getting an LED to light up is the best way.
Yeah, it's, again, instant gratification.
Exactly.
Yeah. We know that this was a lot of information, so we've made it very easy for you to get all of the notes. Now, naturally, all of my code has a lot of commenting, so you should be able to figure it out just by opening it up. But we've also made the links for the different devices that I've used available in our show notes, which is where, Brian?
twit.tv/KH. Yeah, KH stands for know-how. But if you go to twit.tv/KH, you can find not only the show notes with the code that you will want to copy and probably modify to your own specifications, but you'll also find handy ways to subscribe to the show and download, which you're going to want to do because we're going to be doing a lot of these Arduino projects.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And if you're interested, you're not going to want to miss any of them.
Also, don't forget that you can find us in the socials, specifically Google+. Just go to Google+ and look for know-how. There's a quick approval process just to keep out all the spam accounts. But once you're in, you get access to over 10,000 Kitas. That's our know-it-alls. People who are in every step of the maker DIY journey, from experts to people who just start. So if you want to help someone, please join. If you need help, please join. If you just want to see what the maker community is doing, please join. Again, Google+ and look for know-how.
That's right. That's the hive mind of knowledge. But say you want to, that's a frightening idea. If you want to find out what we're doing outside of know-how, or you want to contact us directly, the best way to do that is on Twitter, and I am at @cranky_hippo.
And I am at PadreSJ. And our reluctant third member of the crew, who, by the way, while you were gone, he was just Alex. But you're back now, so...
He's director.
Hal?
Oh.
Hallie?
Wait, his name is Alex?
Alex, I think.
Oh.
Go figure.
Is he in the void over there somewhere?
Yeah, he's in the void. You're going to find him on Twitter, even though he hates it when people contact him at ANE.
Oh, sorry. I think there's a problem with your microphone, buddy.
And L3.
I think he has the mics hooked up to an Arduino over there.
And anytime I say his name, he who shall not be named would love for you to follow him on Twitter at AN.